Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good day to all our viewers across the globe, and welcome to another interesting episode of the Whiteblood Panorama on our YouTube channel, Whiteblood Multimedia. I'm your host, Umar Isa Ndugo. My guest today is one of the few youngest diplomatic analysts I have ever met in my life. Muhammad Abdussalam Yakasai is a fresh graduate who studied agriculture at University of Science, Kano University of Science and Technology Wudin. But he is deeply interested in anything related to diplomacy, current affairs and international politics. He is also an intern at the International Model United Nations. He is here with me in the studio to talk us through a number of events that led to the ouster of Imran Khan as the Prime Minister of Pakistan, something that happened in April. Many people in Pakistan, especially the supporters of Imran Khan, are saying that his removal has got a lot to do with an American conspiracy. So what is that quote-unquote American conspiracy that they are talking about? We will get to know that in the course of the program. Plus the kind of complexities, the kind of complex nature of the Pakistani politics, because one of the complexities of the Pakistani politics is that no prime minister has ever completed their 5-year full term. Imran Khan is also one of them, and another thing that one cannot become a prime minister without the blessings of the army of the country. Analysts are saying that in Pakistan, politicians come and go of the country. So the million-dollar question here is, who rules Pakistan? Well, this and many more will thoroughly be analyzed, digested and discussed on the show. And Muhammad Abdussalam Yakasai joins me now in the studio. Thank you very much indeed for coming.
Thank you, Nando, for having me in the studio.
Well, a lot of things are going to be scrutinized, observed and discussed here today with you. After thanking you for coming, we are towards the end of the program going to discuss or talk about the murder of the Al Jazeera journalist Shireen Abu Akli, who was, as Al Jazeera said, murdered in cold blood last Wednesday. But okay, that will be towards the end of the program. But for now, as we indicated in the introduction, that we're going to talk about Pakistan. Okay, the first question that I need to ask is, how complex is the Pakistani politics, and what do we have to know as a background, as a kind of introduction regarding the Pakistani politics?
Okay, Nando, thank you for having me in the studio once again. The kind of politics in Pakistan, is quite fragile. After the 1999 constitutional coup that ousted Nawaz Sharif, that means the elder brother of the current Prime Minister, Shehbaz Sharif. So the younger diplomacy, the democracy of Pakistan is battling with the issue of army infiltration, because they have ruled the country since 1947.
Since the partition of
India, since the partition of India and Pakistan, they have been ruling the country since 1947, up to the 1988, when the Benazir Bhutto, the first female prime minister to lead a Muslim-majority country in the world, so came into power. That is after what happened in 1988 that ousted the president in a coup. So now they decided to return to democracy and started to be electing prime ministers and president. Before, they decided to be like in the semi-presidential system, but subsequently they decided just to be a parliamentary system of government. After electing the parliamentarians, that means the lawmakers from regions and provinces, they will have to elect the prime minister in the parliament. So after that, Benazir Bhutto and the subsequent prime minister that came into power, so the armies there continues to infiltrate the democracy of the government. They decided to be influencing the leaders. That is why every prime minister that come into power, he'll have to be, seek the synergy between the army and his office or her office. If not, they will start to making issues even in the parliament. So that was what happened in the 10th December, the 10th April last month, that led the ousting of Prime Minister Imran Khan. So what happened to that issue, what led to that issues are quite some complexities. One is the issue between the internal issues between the Prime Minister Imran Khan and the armies again. And also,
okay, I'm sorry to cut you off. To make it clear for our viewers, okay, Imran Khan in 2018 came into power.
4 years.
Okay.
Back.
4 years back.
Yes.
Okay, but before coming into power, he was blessed by the army.
I mean, yes, absolutely. Even the last 3 years, they have been in a good relationship with the army, and the military in general, Air Force and the Navy and the armies. So they got good relationship with them. But what led to that issue, or the deterioration of the relationship between the Imran Khan and the military, was that he decided to change or ruin the relationship between the Pakistan and the United States, and decided to join hands and forces with the Russia. But the first day Putin invaded Ukraine, Imran Khan visited the Pakistan. On that same day,
Imran Khan visited
Russia. On the first day Putin invaded Ukraine.
Okay.
But all we know is that the Imran Khan is tried to make good relationships with Putin, Russia and the communist countries,
China.
and China, of course, but which the United States and the Western countries are not absolutely interested in, and they are not pleased with his move.
Okay.
And also that reflects the mindset and the perception of the military there in the Pakistan.
So which means the military there is having a kind of good relationship, good rapport with the US.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. So the army is pro-West.
That what came after that visit. The United States summoned the Pakistan ambassador in the United States and questioned him about the visit of Imran Khan to Russia. And after that, what the Biden decided to warn Pakistan through its envoy there in Washington that what Imran Khan is trying to do is quite a big mistake. At this time that we are trying to indirectly fall into war with Putin, Imran Khan do not supposed to make those kind of moves that he made then. So they decided to change the government from internal route. So the United States ignited those fire there in the parliament.
Yes, because a lot of people in Pakistan are saying that as I said in my introduction, it has got a lot to do with an American conspiracy. I don't know. I haven't seen any conspiracy here. Is it the US that kind of what's the word for it?
Let me tell you something.
Incited. Yeah.
Pakistan is a country that depends mostly on loans.
Loans.
Yes. So the economy of Pakistan is very, very fragile. Depends on loans and donations. And most of these loans and donations come from the United States. So the United States tried to blackmail the Pakistan through its envoy that if Imran Khan decided to continue this kind of relationship with Putin, we are going to stop our donations and loans to the Pakistan.
Okay, so
that is why the envoy used opposition. That is the Shehbaz Khan as the opposition leader, before he subsequently got the seat.
Shehbaz Sharif.
So the Shehbaz Sharif. So he used them and the military also to ignite those fire and oust Prime Minister Imran Khan from office. And also apart from that, there is also issues of internal instability of prices, economy is in bad shape there because of this COVID that globally. So that issue and this issue with Putin and Russia then led to the ousting of Prime Minister Imran Khan.
Okay. Next question is, I don't know, is Pakistan considered a democratic country?
Yes, it's a democratic country.
How democratic is it? Because
in reality,
you've got the army, the military
indirectly. They don't influence openly.
Well,
you won't see them in the parliament.
Say they're dictating to the prime ministers.
No, you won't see them in the parliament. You won't see them in the prime minister's office. They do things in secret, and most of this happens in the world. Some 1 or 2 persons used to control and influence the leader, whether they are armies or not.
But in the case of Pakistan, it's common. It's common knowledge.
It's common because they have been in power for quite a long time. Different from most of the countries, especially Muslim majority countries in the world. They ruled the country for almost 40 years without even the breaking of the military coup, and so they rule the country, and that is why they have very, very strong blood in the democracy there.
Okay. I don't know. There's no prime minister in Pakistan who has ever completed their 5-year term in office. What do you have to know about this? Why?
This I'll tell you about the fragility of the Nawaz Sharif, the elder brother of the current Prime Minister. He was 3 times Prime Minister of Pakistan.
Okay. In series?
No.
Sequentially or
no.
Different times?
No, he became first Prime Minister. His first premiership was in 1996 to 1999. Then coup came. And that coup ousted him and even exiled to the UK, for almost 1 decade, and then come back and started to run for the office again. So he went election for the second time and for the third time. And all this second and the third term did not finish his 5-year term in office as Prime Minister. Then.
So this is complex. Why? It didn't happen only for one person, and it didn't happen for 2 persons, 3 persons.
23.
It has happened
to 22.
Now you are
Prime Ministers.
It has happened to about 22 Prime Ministers. Why?
Because they allow personal perception to come into their offices and allow them to reign.
Okay.
They allow, like what happened in Benazir Bhutto.
Okay.
The first day she was elected, she appointed her husband and her mother as ministers in her cabinet.
So
that was
you're talking about nepotism.
Yeah, absolutely. In the second premiership, in 1988, when she got the chance to be the first Prime Minister of a Muslim majority country, she appointed her mother as minister and allowed her husband to be attending the Federal Executive Council without any position as a minister or DG or something like that. So all this kind of, a personal sentiment used to cause them to lose the office even before ending their first 5-year tenure as Prime Minister. And also, there's a kind of lineage dependent politics. Like in this Nawaz Sharif and his brother, the Nawaz Sharif was a chief minister of Punjab for almost 2 times. The incumbent Prime Minister, Shehbaz Sharif, was the 3 times chief minister of Punjab, the same district.
The same district.
Yes.
Ruled by his brother.
Absolutely. Then he also came and ruled it for almost 3 times. So this tells you that they used to plan something along the way in their democratic lines. And this kind of plantation used to cost them their office. It used to cost them their office. In 2019, in 2020, this incumbent Prime Minister, Shehbaz Sharif, he was arrested, or rather they said invited by the corruption agency there, charging him about the some kind of embezzlement charges, him and his eldest son Hamza. So all those issues also lead to cause some kind of wound. It's used to wound their democratic
So
movement.
It's not only Nigeria that is suffering from corruption.
No. In 2000,
countries that we see as developed or developing also are
in 1990, Pakistan was ranked amongst it was the second most corrupt country in the world.
In 1990?
Yes, in 1990,
Who was
Pakistan.
the Prime Minister there? So it's not only Nigeria and other African countries that are suffering
especially in the Asia, India and Pakistan, they are struggling with much level of corruption in their government, particularly issues of nepotism and the rest of that.
So I understand that in 1990, Pakistan was ranked one of the most corrupt.
It was the second, according to the report by the United Nations, that Pakistan was the second most corrupt country in the world.
Wow, this is really so. They have a lot in common with us.
Absolutely. Even if you look at the democratic system of the government, though we don't practice parliamentary system of government, we practice a full presidential system, but you can see that the president is elected by direct majority, by what they call electoral college. That to start making some kind of moves.
We are not in Russia, remember. We're not in China. We're not in North Korea. That they have to seek for permission.
Why isn't it we can't emulate ourselves and start to emulate from the Russia and from the China? Okay. Are they not countries? Are they not human beings?
So now you're saying that our system is weak and that we should
adjust.
Okay.
Yes.
And we should
our
learn
leaders
from Russia?
should adjust and learn from the countries, copy from Russia. If we're talking about where too many Nigerians, 200 million, China is almost
1.4 billion, something like that.
So what strategies China took to control its economic affairs? Why can't we emulate from them? So now India 1.3.
Yeah.
What strategies India is using to sustain its economic development?
Even though there are many poor people in the country,
yes,
suffering.
Yes.
In India.
But the economy is quite stable. You can see a lot of people, a complete village, the population of the village they cultivate one single crop, like this wheat.
Yeah.
All the people of the village, the children, the women, and they cultivate some product. And when they cultivate them, the government is fully aware of their activities and is going to help them in selling it out, or even the government buy it and put it in its stores. So that encourage the farmers and to continue production, and they secure, put security in the country.
So like in Kano, to say Kura will be producing rice, another local government will be producing, let's say, maize, another will be producing millet.
So if you calculate the number of main agricultural producers the Kano is able to produce, and if you calculate the number of local governments that we have, 44 local governments, just distribute one crop, 44 crops.
Well, that would be huge, to be honest with you.
So Kura is focusing on rice, Tudumana is focusing on potato, Dambata Makoda are focusing on cassava. I know they produce cassava there very much. So if you put this one local government, one crop, and government should be very, very committed in ensuring that a program is achieved. Then the government will sustain.
That's a very good diversion, even though we're talking about Pakistan, but a lot of issues are clearly related. One more thing before we move on to Gaza, briefly. Should Imran Khan have condemned the Russian invasion of Ukraine?
No, I don't think so.
So he shouldn't have done that.
Yes, he shouldn't have.
He didn't do that, and they got him out of power.
It was just.
Was it a mistake?
It wasn't a mistake based on his perception, because it's something like abacadabra. The more you see, the less you understand.
Oh, really?
So he visited the country on the first day Putin invaded Russia, and now he's condemning Putin for what he's doing in Ukraine. This is absurd. So it doesn't even make any sense, and that contributed a lot to even his international image has deteriorated so far, because he's making two images. He condemned, he visited. So why did he visit Putin? What did you tell him? So these are two things that the world should understand about Imran Khan, but he's still trying to return to office.
So
he's trying to return to office.
Do you think he will be back?
Yes.
How confident are you in him?
Most of the prime ministers of these 22 prime ministers, some of them, they were dismissed and they came back. Benazir Bhutto was dismissed and she came back. Nawaz Sharif was,
yes,
he ousted or deposed. He also came back. So he hoped that he will come back in the subsequent election. And I saw even a tweet of the Zagor Smith, the Minister of Foreign Affairs in the UK.
Yeah.
He even tweeted some comments saying that he will come back with his full energy and support, and he wish him, success in his next post, because he's the younger, older brother of his former wife, Jamin, the former wife of Imran Khan. They got married in 1995 to 2003. So probably Imran Khan is coming back to power. As
it is the nature of the Pakistani politics.
No, even this current Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, it won't go well with him in this office.
Okay, why?
He has corruption charges.
He too?
Yes. When he was Prime Minister, when he was Chief Minister of Punjab, 1993 to 1996, then in 2013 to 2018, he was charged with murder cases. Yes, murder cases.
Very serious.
Yes, in Punjab. He ordered so many atrocities then. And also these corruption charges. He was invited by the anti-corruption unit in 2019, in September 2020 also. So, and even his brother, the Nawaz Sharif, is currently facing those kind of charges of corruption charges and embezzlement. He's currently in exile in the UK. On the he wanted the government to give him, the bail application to move to the UK for medical checkup, but since then he did not come back. Yes, so he's not there. So these allegations are coming up, definitely. Yeah. Especially in countries,
if they are well established, then they will give Imran Khan the opportunity of coming back.
Yes, absolutely.
As I have seen that he has a lot of supporters,
public support,
especially the young people
and the women.
The ladies.
So he's coming back to power. Though he's making some kind of good relationship with the military, just like I said yesterday, he's trying to make some move to restructure the economic system of the country, because that is what most people are concerned about. The economy. So he's trying to reshape it. He ordered the ban of importation of sugar, I think last week. So he's trying to make some kind of it. But despite all this move that he's making, at the end, he's going to be ousted, or he's going to face the same fits Imran Khan faced.
Well, that's really important, and as someone told me in Pakistan, they still have huge respect for Imran Khan,
yes.
And they are looking forward to him coming back.
In the last segment of Ramadan, when Shehbaz Sharif, the incumbent prime minister, went to Umrah,
there was a lot of drama.
Scenes there,
yes, and a lot of people were kind of
they chanted those kind of uneasy words at him at the holy mosque of Kaaba.
This is bad.
And yes, they were the main supporters of Imran Khan that are there in the Saudi, or those that go there
went for Umrah probably. Yes.
So that's a lot
remains to be seen.
Absolutely.
Okay. So briefly, before I let you go, let's take a look at the state of Palestine. Well, you know what's currently happening there. A journalist by the name of Shireen Abu Akleh, working for Al Jazeera, was shot in the head by Israeli forces. Al Jazeera believes that Shireen Abu Akleh was murdered in cold blood. What do you have to say about this? How did you receive this news?
This was quite shocking, and it was quite sad. And a journalist on the front lines shot deliberately, what the United States said, deliberately by the Israeli forces. It was quite unfortunate and quite sad, because this Shireen, I think she was the 12th journalist, Al Jazeera journalist, to be killed on the front line.
Yes, of course.
Al Jazeera from 1996, I think 2 in Iraq and 1 in Libya, and now 1 in Pakistan. So Shireen in Palestine. So Shireen was the first journalist, Al Jazeera journalist, to be killed in Palestine. And this atrocities by the Israeli forces is, damaging the image of all its supporters and even the country itself. At least they said, according to the Federal Ministry of Information of the Palestine, they said almost 50 journalists killed by Israeli forces between 2001 to 2021 years. Israel killed over 50 journalists in the front line in Palestine.
But what is the United States saying? What has the United States?
It's just condemnation. That is the most painful part of it, part of this atrocities of Israel in the Palestine, and this is issues of the West Bank and Gaza. Most of the world leaders, especially leaders of the Muslim majority countries, they used to keep mute about it. I think only Erdogan and some people, even this Shehban, also made some comment about it, condemning the acts of this atrocities of the Israel in Palestine.
I know Iran has huge support for the Hamas
Palestine.
Is it Palestinians or the Hamas?
It's all the same. They are all Arabs and they are all Palestinians. It's just a group. It's just the name of the group.
Okay, but Hamas is like an armed group.
You can't call them an armed or
they have
they have arms, but they are fighting for their
territories.
Yes, they are fighting for the.
And whenever Israel launches its attacks on Gaza,
they retaliate.
They say that they are targeting the Hamas forces, who are targeting Israel.
That's not the reality. The Israeli forces attack even the local people of the Palestine, not just the Hamas. It's attacking Hamas. It's not all their locations. And they used to be pushing them one after the other.
But they said that the Hamas operatives are hiding in a population area.
So does that give them the go ahead to kill the innocent people in their homes? The innocent children and women. So they used to be picking them one after the other. They don't have. They all have intelligence agencies and intelligence officers. So they have to pick them one after the other. Killing these innocent people is what gives the bad image to Israel and its allies, like even the United States, the UK and the rest of all those worlds. So the Iran, Lebanon, the Syria. The Pakistan also, they are backing the Palestine. But that is not enough. The support these countries give to Palestine is very, very minimal to compared to the support and the weapons and the forces of Israel. They are committing these atrocities because they are fully sure that the West is behind, their back, and they can depend them on whatever they do. But that is telling the world that the people in the Palestine are not enjoying the goodwill of the United Nations. Even the United Nations, you see that you just condemn the act and just close the case. Just condemn what you are condemning it on behalf of the United Nations, and just
keep quiet.
The case is short.
And the innocent civilians continue to suffer.
Absolutely.
After their families have been killed and murdered. So
now, Shireen, they also the issue on Friday during the funeral of the Shireen, the Israeli forces attacked the mourners.
Yes, the crowd of
even the casket nearly fell down.
Oh yeah, of course.
It was very, very unfortunate. After killing her, then we followed the mourners, attacked them. Even the casket nearly fell. This is very, very serious. But for the first time, this time the chief security officer of the Palestine, of the Israel, and the United Nations ordered the thorough investigation of the issue. But it won't make any sense.
So which means the Israelis are not going to be taken to the ICC to be tried?
No. This war between Palestine and the Israel lasted for 54 years. It is one of the world's most enduring conflicts.
This is
since 1967, and now we are to 2020. But the most recent one started last year in 2021. So when when Israel decided to return Jews to or they okayed them to be visiting the Al-Aqsa Mosque. So all that issues bring about this conflict between them and renews the conflict between Israel and Palestine, which is very, very unfortunate. The world leaders of Muslim majority countries are keeping silent, especially the Saudi Arabia.
So Saudi Arabia hasn't been condemned.
It won't make any comment.
Okay, I thought they are secretly supporting the Palestinians. Probably
no.
With money, with food, something like that.
No. It's openly keep mute and stay away from this conflict. And
so
allow people
that makes it complex. That makes it problematic.
No, it decided to remain its neutral position on the issue between Israel and
this is because of its relationship with the United States.
Yes, absolutely. That is the reality.
Okay. So, if Saudi Arabia interferes in this issue, then US, it will affect
and together reaction from the United States, also and the UK. That's why it decided to maintain its neutral position, which is very, very bad. It affects or ruins its image in the eyes of other Muslims in the world.
So briefly,
especially weaker Muslim countries in the world.
Okay, briefly, like 30 seconds. How do you see, in reference to this issue, the future of journalists working at the front lines in different countries, talking about Yemen, now Ukraine, Palestine? How do you see the future of journalists?
The future of journalism,
because she was killed while wearing a vest typically written on the front
as press,
and she was.
Which is according to
according to Al Jazeera, she got a clearance from the Israeli government that she could work, she could report from that area.
Yes.
So what's the future of
future of journalism in not only Palestine, even in Yemen, Syria, Mali, and the rest of them? The future is at stake as far as the parties that are in the conflict.
Okay.
And we are talking about the Israel and the Palestine. That is issue with Palestine and the Ukraine, the Putin and the Ukraine. If these two parties are not going to be respecting the dignity, the work also. The responsibility of the journalism in their countries, the future of journalism remain at stake, and lives will journalists will continue to lose their lives in the front lines as long as the two parties are not going to be respecting their responsibility and their neutrality. Because you will see that in every country of this conflict, you will see that the journalists used to be in the neutral position. You just take the pictures and just post it. Take the issue and then give it to the public. Okay,
thank you very much indeed, Muhammad Abdussalam Yakasai, for being on the program. It's a huge pleasure having you.
Thank you also for having me in the studio.
That has been Muhammad Abdussalam Yakasai on behalf of everyone that has contributed to the production of the program, and the CEO, the big boss, Zainab Abdurrahman Meagogo. I'm Umar Isa Dandago saying goodbye and have a wonderful day ahead.